guys, this is Audrey with Homeschooling for Boys, and as you can tell from the name of my channel, I have 4 boys that I homeschool, and you are probably going to hear them in the background because they're playing down here with me right now. So sorry if they get too loud, but I'm going to try to keep them quiet. I'm actually planning on making an intro video, but I'm cleaning up all of our school stuff from this past school year, so I figured now would be a good time to show what we used last year before I get it all packed away and put up. So that's what this video is going to be about. As I said, I have 4 boys. They are 3, 5, 10, and 12. So my oldest is just finished up 6th grade, and the 10-year-old just finished up 4th grade. So in this video, I am cleaning up going into 7th grade. I'm cleaning up his desk. So I'm going to show you what we used for him this past school year. So I'm going to turn the camera around, show you the main stuff we used, and just talk a little bit about it. So enjoy. So we used Heart of Dakota. This is our 4th year of using Heart of Dakota, and I really love it. My kids seem to do well with it. We are going a different direction for the next school year, but I have nothing bad to say about Heart of Dakota. It's been really great for our family. So my 7th grader did Creation to Christ this coming school year, and I don't know if you've ever used Heart of Dakota or know anything about it, but it's really, as you can see, it spans ages. This one says for ages 9 to 11, and you can buy extensions. And you can buy extensions for ages 12 to 13. So you can really use this with a wide variety of ages. Here is the table of contents, if you want to just look at it. There are, I believe, 35 units, which a unit is a week, and each week is 4 days of work. So you have the 5th day to either catch up, or if you have a co-op, which we do, so that's what we do on our 5th day. So having 4 days scheduled works really well for us. And then you have a lot of stuff in the appendix. Sorry about that. Hey guys, don't be so loud, okay? So you have an introduction. It has the complete plans. It just talks about it. Easy to use. We have learning through history, learning the basics. Just has some good teacher information before you get started. And then it'll have a list of just what your day might look like. Each day is laid out very similar, or each week is laid out very similarly. On Mondays, you'll be doing the same thing every week. On Tuesdays, you'll be doing the same thing. So I like that. I'm not going to show you every page. So I'm just going to show you what a day layout looks like. So this is the first day. You can see up here it shows Unit 1, Day 1. And then this whole section will be the learning through history side of the page. So learning through history, the beginning of history, and of sin. So you're going to have something that you read in your history book. And you will have, every Monday, you'll have a research, something for you to research. This day it was Garden of Eden, and it kind of gives you some questions that you can answer. You'll have a history project. I'll be honest, we didn't always do the history project. My kids don't always get into stuff like that, so we didn't do that. And then they have an independent history study. So if you look up here as a T in the corner, that means that that has an I in the corner. So that means the student's going to be doing this independently. So they do this by themselves. This S means basically it'll be semi-independent. You can kind of get them started and then they can work on it on their own. And then they have this independent history study where they'll have either a book to read or a CD to listen to, and it's obviously also independent. And then you have story time. I did not follow this exactly. We do story time, but I do it with all of my kids at the same time, so we weren't reading the story time books, but I am sure they are great. And then we have Bible quiet time, and this is independent, and I love this. This is your student is reading the Bible on their own. It has a prayer, and it has a Bible verse that they're memorizing. They end up, by the end, they will memorize all of Philippians 2, which is really, really awesome. So that is the history portion. Okay, so this is the stack of books that we use for our history portion. This book right here is used for, I think, the first 19 or so weeks of the school year. So this is what you use the majority of the school year. It's the story of the ancient world. And this book, it can take a little bit of time to get into and get used to the wording and the way it says things. But once we got into it, this book was so great. I learned so much about ancient history with my son, and I have I have a deeper understanding of the Old Testament now from reading this book. And I did read it with him. He could have done it independently, but I wanted to read this book too, so I really enjoyed it. I was sad to see this book end, so it was great. And then once he finished this, we moved into the Streams of History, Ancient Rome. Now this one he did read on his own. I didn't read this with him, so I haven't read this one. He seemed to enjoy it. He did well with it. And once you finish Ancient Rome, we moved on to Ancient Greece. And I also did not read this one, but he did these on his own, and it was perfectly fine for him to do it on his own. I really liked that he was able to work his way up into being independent. So those were the main history spines. And then on the independent history, we used these two things. What in the World? This is, let me see if I can get this to focus. Well, it's Ancient Civilizations and the Bible. It's a 4-disc audio set. And so he would just sit down and listen to maybe 10 minutes of it when it was assigned. It was really interesting. We had never used these before. I had heard great things about them, but we may use them again in the future. And then we also used the Draw and Write Through History, Greece, and Rome. And so he worked through this book just on the assigned days. It was really, he likes to draw. He's very good at art. So this was a great book for him. You can see how it is written in cursive. So your child will need to know how to read and write cursive to do this book. Oh, hey Dad. So that is what we used for history. Alright, so we're going to move on to science now. This book was the first science book that we worked through. It's the Apologia, Exploring Creation with Zoology 3, Land Animals of the Sixth Day. We did not use the Apologia notebooks with this because Heart of Dakota has its own assignments that you do with these books. So he would just read and then do whatever assignment Heart of Dakota had for him. He really enjoyed this book. He was always telling me interesting facts that he had learned, and I think this book took us about 16 weeks to get through, so about the first half of the school year we were working on this book. Shh, Kingston. And then once we finished that, we moved on to this Plant Life in Field and Garden. I'll be honest, he didn't love this book as much. I don't think he's that into plants, so he did it. He did the work. He did well with it, but it was not his favorite book. It has nice pictures. It may be great for some people. My son just wasn't into it. So this was the book that was scheduled next, and he, after finishing this one, he was not very excited about moving on to this, I'll be honest. So I let him go ahead and move into this one, which is the Illustrated Adventure in Human Anatomy, and he did really enjoy this book. You can see it's very colorful, lots of activities that you can do in it, a lot of great information. He enjoyed this book a lot more. And then from that we moved on to exploring the history of medicine. And yes, he did read this whole book, and he didn't complain about it, so I'm assuming he liked it. Every chapter had questions that he would answer at the end, and then the answers to the questions were in the back of the book for me to check.
Are you at a place?
And then we moved on to Galen and the Gateway to Medicine. And he seemed to enjoy this one as well. So we finished up the school year. This was going to be our last book to do. I was giving him a break. We ended up not doing this book and just kind of finding our own stuff to do for science, because I think this book was only going to take 4 weeks anyway. And so we just found random things for him to do for science because he just did not want to do this, and we have more chances to learn about birds, so I was not going to force this on him right now if he didn't want to do it. So that is what we used for science. Alright, for his independent Bible time, every day he would have something to read out of this book, and it usually went along with what he was learning in history, so it was really great. This is a wonderful family Bible. Even if you're not using Heart of Dakota, you can buy this book from Master Books, and I highly recommend it. It's just a great family Bible story, but it's got so many great stories in it that not every I wouldn't really call this a children's picture Bible, because it's really more in depth than that. You can see it's got beautiful pictures, it's colorful, and it just has a lot of great information. I'm really impressed with this, and we will use this with my other kids even if they don't necessarily do Heart of Dakota. And then this was the other portion of the Bible study, the independent Bible study. It is Bible Study in Stereo, Philippians 2. And it's just a CD, which is missing, I see. He would listen to this every day. It's basically, it's Philippians 2 done to song. And so it helped him to memorize it because he memorized the song, because he listened to it every day, just adding a little bit at a time. And so by the end of the year, he had this memorized. And then he wrote Philippians 2, the whole thing, one verse at a time, as copywork into his copywork book. So that was his independent Bible time. Alright, if you remember on the teacher's guide where I showed you every day would rotate either Bible or geography done with the teacher. And so these are the two books that were used for that. This is what we used for the Bible time. It's called the Radical Book for Kids. And this book was so great. Again, this is one of those books that I think it's great. If you have a middle school child, they will love this book, whether they're doing Heart of Dakota or not. I highly, highly recommend this book. I'll show you a little bit of the inside. It's hard to see it's very small. It was very short chapters. We would just read a chapter a day. You see here, this one is the Bible in one sentence. And it has lots of wonderful pictures. This talks all about the Bible, different things, how to understand the Bible, jewels in the Bible. Let me find God's not-so-secret mission, finding the center of the universe. It has science, it has history, holidays of the Bible. holy days, I guess you could call it. It talked about several men who gave their lives for Christ. There would be different stories.
No.
That was a whole chapter on that. Anyway,
This is my school.
parents aren't perfect. It's very good for our children to read this and know that. But our God is perfect, so we can trust Him. This was a great book, so highly, highly recommend it.
That one. 'Cause that's
The next book we would use if we weren't doing Bible was geography, and we used a child's geography. This is by Ann Voskamp, and this was really great. This was Explore the Holy Land, and it went through, we went through Turkey, Israel, Egypt, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. And so there were several chapters, or parts, I guess. Like Turkey had 3 parts. There were 3 parts of all of them. So everything that we were studying in history about all of these ancient places, we would then come into our geography book and learn about them. Learn about what it's like there now. Learn about the people and the culture. And it's really a great book.
Nice to meet you.
We would usually just read. There is some map work you can do. It comes with a CD that has maps you can print, as well as other worksheets you can print out if you want to do that.
My name is
I liked this so much that I actually bought.
Ball. My name.
I actually bought the. She has another one. It's I think it's Child Geography Explore God's World. We're going to use it next year, which I can show that to you later. Boys. So this was Bible and geography. Okay, so that is everything that we used with Heart of Dakota. That's not everything that we used. I haven't shown our math, and I have not shown our language arts, and I have not shown the books that we read together and that he read on his own. And so I will do another video showing that, but this video is getting very long, and I just kind of wanted to give an overview of Heart of Dakota. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I can answer them. If there's anything you would like to see more of, I can also show you that. I will be getting some more videos up soon. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. I have a 3- and a 5-year-old in here playing currently, and they don't play quietly. So, you know, it's real life. This is how life is here. So, and that's okay.